when we're missing that feeling and thought, subconscious thought, like the subconscious thoughts and feelings that occur when other people interact with our communication, video messaging plays a really important role in filling in those gaps. And so
your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Pontau. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Ethan Beute, Wall Street Journal bestselling author of Human-Centered Communication and Rehumanize Your Business, chief evangelist at Follow Up Boss, and host of 3 podcasts, the Customer Experience Podcast, chief evangelist and real estate team OS. Ethan Beute has spent more than a dozen years helping people build relationships in digital environments. Prior to joining Follow Up Boss, Ethan served as chief evangelist at video messaging platform BombBomb and director of marketing for local TV stations in Chicago, Grand Rapids, and Colorado Springs. He holds undergraduate degrees from the University of Michigan and UCCS in communication, psychology, and marketing. A husband and father, he lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Congrats on your 3 successful books, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
thanks so much, Karl. Really appreciate you making intentional and clear conversations about human connection. I think it's something that's taken for granted by most people. And I think when we have clear, explicit conversations about it, it's a net benefit to the world. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks so much. So on that topic, what is the role of asynchronous video messages in team communication strategies? So I know there's people use email and text and other kind of asynchronous communication, and there's live video and in-person meetings. And so there's kind of a gap between the two that is pretty stark. So what is a role that asynchronous video can play in that gap?
Sure, great. So as you said, I'll just restate it just again for clear context. Everyone knows that the best thing we can do with our teams is to be together in person. Of course, a lot of us are working hybrid or remote. So the next best thing is to get together all on a Zoom call or a Teams call or a Google Meet or whatever the case may be. And that's all live. I would also include phone calls in that as well. We're often calling some of our prospects or our customers, not so much internally, but some people do that as well. So that's all synchronous. And typically it's scheduled. So we all, Thursday at 2, or hey, that doesn't work for me anymore. How about Friday at 9 a.m. or 1 p.m.? Is that Mountain Time or is that Eastern Time? All that stuff. So that's all synchronous. And that's the best thing we can do. There's a lot of give and take that we can do there. And I could give a ton of tips on how to make those more useful. So we're not just delivering information that would be better sent asynchronously in advance, so that when we spend that live time together, we're actually doing something creative and productive and coming to decisions and some of these other things that synchronous communication is best for. On the other hand, we're all relying even more on asynchronous communication. This could be as specific and narrow as comments in a shared Google Doc that we're all working on, or, you already mentioned email, text messaging, LinkedIn DMs, Slack messages, et cetera. This is all asynchronous communication. I type it up and send it when it's convenient for me. Someone else looks at it and responds when it's convenient for them. And when we look at the share of our communication that is asynchronous, the vast majority of it is faceless typed out text, the same black text in the same white box or on a white screen or whatever. Sometimes with an emoji punched in to either give it some personality or we think we're adding clarity, but is that smiley face going to let that person know we're joking, or is it going to make them think we're being passive aggressive? Who knows, right? So there are all these problems with tone and emotion and intent and understanding. In addition, from a psychological perspective, there's a lot missing in terms of trust building, right? Like faceless digital communication is visually and emotionally impoverished relative to what the human brain is looking for. It's looking for signs that I can trust this information, that it's safe to move forward. And so when we put some of our most important, and this is the other side of asynchronous communication, we're doing a lot more of it. Almost all of it is faceless. And this includes some of our most important and valuable messages that we're sending every day. And this is to inform people, it's to influence people, it's to get people to move to some form of action, show up for this thing, check out this proposal, support me on this, all these different ways that we're selling different ideas and working to inform and influence people throughout the day. These are some of our most important and valuable messages. And so when people are ignorant of or blind to the opportunity to add videos to some of those asynchronous messages, we're missing a huge opportunity to establish more human connection inside our organization, or even with our prospects, customers, whatever, all of our external stakeholders. And we're missing the opportunity to share the subtlety and nuance and emotion, gratitude, sincerity, enthusiasm, the opportunity to demonstrate our expertise, the opportunity to demonstrate that we actually care about other people. Like, so much when we talk about customer experience or employee experience, experience is a felt thing. It's feelings, then thoughts, that influences our words and actions and decisions. And those words and actions and decisions affect our business outcomes. And so when we're missing that feeling and thought, subconscious thought, like the subconscious thoughts and feelings that occur when other people interact with our communication, video messaging plays a really important role in filling in those gaps. And so you can easily put a video into a text message, into a LinkedIn DM, into an email, into a Slack message. Some of these tools and channels have native video recording tools in them. There are tons of free ways to do it. There are tons of paid options to do it. And so I would just encourage, whether it's 1-to-1 or 1-to-3 or 1-to-18 people on this team, or a leader to the entire company of a 25-person organization or a 25,000-person organization, there are opportunities to leverage video in asynchronous situations. Again, I record it and send it what's convenient for me. Everyone opens it up and experiences me in person when it's convenient for them, and they understand the message more clearly at a deeper level, and they have a stronger emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, I think there's so much that gets lost in text because you don't get the tone, you don't get the inflection, you don't get the speed at which they say it, you don't hear or see their expressions as they say it. And so, while it's still not nearly as good as synchronous, but it's so much better because you get much more of who is saying it and the way they're trying to communicate it. And so I think it's, if you don't have, like I said, like building that trust comes from understanding more of the intent behind the words, and like I said, more than just an emoji can pull off. And I think if you're trying to, as a leader, inspire or persuade or get people to feel something, the more you can make it like you're in the room with them, the more persuasive and influential and inspiring it's going to be, because it'll evoke way more emotions and be much less ambiguous than just text.
Yeah, I want to pick up on one thing you just shared there. It's like as if you're in the room, right? So I'm not talking about scripted videos. I'm not talking about lights and teleprompters and all this other stuff. I'm not talking about a production. This is just like me and my webcam. I like stand at my desk all day, standing in my office. And so when I'll give a specific use case for someone who's like, well, okay, when would I do this? Whether you're a leader or a team member or whatever, no matter what your role is, people are asking questions, right? Like, hey, tell me about this, or can you give me an update on that? Or, I read the whole thing, but I don't understand this. And we're doing this in like asynchronous communication. Just hit record and talk to someone on your webcam and answer the question, right? Hey, I've got this customer who has this question and I see two different ways we could go. Like, what's the discrepancy between these two options, and what would be best for this person? Instead of, to your point, typing it all out, like it might take me 5 minutes to type it out and then fuss with it and make sure that I get it just right and make sure that it's clear what I'm saying, because some of it's slightly technical. I could just talk to someone in layperson's terms, or even better yet, do a screen recording if there's a show and tell component to it, whether I'm showing a report or showing someone, like walking someone through, a software or an interface of some kind. And I just talk to someone for like 87 seconds. So all in, it takes me, 97 seconds to record that video and send it off. versus the 5 minutes to make sure that I communicate it well in a way that someone can read and understand and then communicate maybe to another stakeholder internally or externally, you're going to get so much more credit for the undivided time and attention that someone else can observe that you gave them. 87 seconds in my made up scenario here versus the 4 minutes and 51 seconds it took to like think about it and fuss with it and type it all out and make sure you got it right and send it off. Like most of us don't even assign a human writer to the digital words we see on a screen, like just from a mental experience component. So there's so many ways to do this, and almost any asynchronous message you're sending could benefit from being a video. And I just shared one example of it, and we've already kind of alluded to the other, and I'll just share those three really quickly. One is personal connection, establishing or reestablishing personal connection with someone. Two is emotion and tone. If there's an emotional component or a tonal component that's difficult to capture in typed out words, which is in a lot of cases, sometimes we're dealing with sensitive situations. And the third is detail or complexity. If you want to be able to break something down and explain something to someone in a way that they can understand it, or better yet, show and tell something so they can understand. Those are three cases where a video is going to be better than typed out text.
Oh yeah, that last example, 100%. I've used that with clients in the past when I'm giving an update on here's something I'm working on for your project. I have the source file up. I'll show them what I've been working on. I'll show them. I'll explain to them what's going on, or like what the next steps are, what I want them to give feedback on. And instead of trying to explain it in text and put like a time signature or file names, I can just pull it up on the screen recording, and I'm talking and they can see my face in the corner, and I just have the cursor saying, this thing here, need your feedback on this, and this thing here, we fixed that problem we talked about last time. And then you send it off and they go, oh, that's great. Perfect. I understand. And here's what you needed. And the communication goes way better than them trying to dig through a text document with timestamps and trying to figure out what you, like the thing on the place on the screen here, or this file over there. And like, it just,
right. Or worse,
like,
check this thing out and tell me what you think about it. Like you as the service provider, as the partner, as the, the expert, hey, I'm here to orient you toward this piece of work that we agreed that you wanted from me. Here's some of what happened. These are the two particular things I need, like versus check this out and let me know what you think. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, this has been, I think, really great examples. And I think it's something that, like you said earlier, there's the pathway to entry, or the bar to entry to use this technology is really low these days.
Very low. And the human is the biggest barrier.
Yeah.
Like accepting the idea that you're going to send a recording of yourself when I guarantee you're not going to like how you look. You're not going to like how you sound. It's going to feel really awkward. Send it in. Like the human is by far and away the biggest barrier to this opportunity.
We often know.
Yeah.
And it's not, I know there's some platforms where like the video stays on that platform. Like it's not like it's going to be like posted on YouTube or something like that. And you're not
totally.
So there's tools out there that keep it, it's not going to be popping up online and people, oh my gosh, look at this. It's an internal thing, or it's like, and it's not going to be like shared around for them. Like, don't worry about that sort of stuff if you're already like having a knee-jerk reaction to it. But so for people that are thinking, oh, this is something that could be good for me to try, start using, what are some steps people can take to make this a habit in their communications with their team or with their clients?
Great question. I would pick one use case and just commit to doing it. This could be, okay, we do a team meeting every other week. And so what I'm going to start doing now is after the team meeting, I'm going to go through my own notes. I'm going to reflect on the experience. I'm going to record a 2-minute or less video and send it to everyone who's invited to the meeting, whether they attended or not. And I'm going to thank people for their time. I'm going to hit the 1 or 2 most salient points or most important discussion points. I'm going to hit a couple of the most important next steps so that everyone stays on the same page, whether they were, on PTO that day or whether they were in the meeting. So that'd be one. Or here's my favorite one. This is actually the lowest barrier of all. If you are like me, you're walking or you're running or you're driving or you're showering or you're mowing the lawn or whatever you're doing, and someone comes to mind, you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought of this person in a while. And it's generally favorable, and it's generally like a thank you moment. So a thank you Thursday habit. This is one of my favorite things, especially for a leader, but really for anyone. A thank you Thursday habit. So throughout the week, when someone comes to mind, instead of, oh yeah, she's awesome. I haven't thought about her. I need to reach out to her, and then a week goes by and it comes up again. I should reach out to her. And then a month goes by, like, I still haven't reached out to her. Like, I don't know about you, but that happens to me all the time. So what I started doing is writing people's names down throughout the week. So if I was in a meeting, like a leadership meeting, and I heard a frontline employee's name mentioned for being awesome and doing this thing, I'd write her name down. Someone came to mind, I'd write his name down. If someone made a personal introduction for me, I'd write the name down. And certainly, in the moment, I'm going to treat the moment appropriately, as I always did. But then you get to your desk 15 minutes early, or you find 15 minutes during the day, and you send 3, 5, 7 quick, simple, personal thank you videos to people. And some people you are on a texting basis. So you record it on your phone, you just text it to them. Other people, there are LinkedIn connections. Other people are internal, team members. So you're going to email them or Slack them the video. But it's just like a quick, simple, hey, I appreciate you so much. You came to mind yesterday or this morning or a couple days ago. Just want to reach out when you did X, Y, like tell them why you're appreciative of them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be transactional. It could just be they're an awesome person. You're really glad you get to work with them. These are the little things that we think and feel that make us feel more connected to the workplace, but we so infrequently communicate that to other people. And sometimes when we do, especially if we just type it out, like typing out, thank you, I appreciate you, is more of an intellectual exercise than anything else. When you actually breathe these words into real life with your whole self, looking into the camera lens and talking to someone else and allowing them to experience that on the other side, I promise if you make something like that a habit, you're going to get replies that say, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear that day, or that turned my week around. These kinds of things are like, and that's fulfilling for you and it's great for them. It's like such a healthy habit. So the use cases are many. Pick one, do it consistently. Thank you is the easiest one.
I love that. Thank you, Thursday. I am totally stealing that right now because it's Thursday tomorrow when we're recording this. So I have a bunch of people that I'm appreciative of, especially people who have like other guests on the show, and some people have been making introductions for me. And that is such a cool idea. And it's such a low effort, but high reward for making that a habit as a leader or as a professional or just a human being. It's so easy to send these messages to people via your phones or on like your computer at work. To take 5 minutes and be expressive of your appreciation for someone else who probably isn't aware you're thinking of them, that will build such a strong bond or strengthen an already existing bond between you and your relationships, either professional or personal, that it's so doesn't take much effort at all. Just like write a little reminder on your calendar or something, make it a habit, and they'll be amazed how big of an impact it has on your team's performance and your customers' experience, because your team's gonna be happier. It's gonna ripple out through your entire organization if you get you and I'm sure other leadership team members doing this. It costs you like nothing, but it's going to make a huge difference in your business. Just a simple habit of sending video appreciation messages. That is a genius move. That is so awesome. So if people want to learn more about your work and or what your book, how can they find you, or what's a good way for them to get started to connect more with you?
Sure. I am still one of very few Ethan Beutes around. So it's just Ethan, Ethan, last name is Beute. So hit me up on LinkedIn. It's the best place. Send me a DM. I've got like some free resources and some other things that and it's not part of a funnel or anything. I'm like, these are just ideas I care about. I'm not selling anything related to any of this. So whether you have a specific question or whether you want, to be pointed in some directions, or you want some additional use cases, or whatever the case may be, LinkedIn's probably the best place, although I'm happy to connect on any of the main platforms.